Let's do it, shall we? Welcome, everybody. You've tuned into Time Zones and Time Meters. It's Simon and myself. We're here to talk about music, live music specifically, music that we love, have seen, and recommend for anybody who happen to see that if they're playing in their local area, go check them out. That's kind of the idea. Yeah, that's it. How are you today, Simon? You good?
Yeah. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good today. Pretty good. It's starting to get darker and darker. So
Yeah,
we're filming at the moment.
we're in
It's
a heat
actually,
wave.
oh really? It's a
Yeah,
brisk, I don't know, 12 degrees in Sydney, Australia at the moment. So it's not
it's
too.
almost 30 degrees here.
Yeah, that's right. You say heat wave,
The
and I'm like,
cherries are
oh, yum. Okay.
everything in the garden is blooming.
Yeah, nice. Um, I was just going to say in Australia, 30 degrees isn't too abnormal, and probably here being like 12, 13 degrees is not that cold for you.
No, no. Well, but yeah, it's also in the Netherlands. It's also very humid, so all the it always gets amplified by that. So if it's 30 degrees in the Netherlands, then it's very like if you're in Spain and it's 30 degrees, then it's piece of cake. But in the Netherlands, it's rougher. Yeah,
Yeah, with us it's the same.
and
As soon as it's
right.
cold in Australia, we're freezing because we're
Yeah,
just
but I'm sure it's also a difference if you're by the um,
yeah,
if you're somewhere in the middle of the country or if you're by the seaside.
yeah, totally is, totally is. The closer you are to the sea, the warmer it is basically for
Yeah,
in winter. In winter it's warmer, but in
yeah,
the
yeah,
um, obviously in the summer it gets hotter and hotter and hotter the closer into the middle of the country you go. Okay,
yeah.
let's talk about music, shall we? Did you want to do you want to hit the ground running today, or do you want me to start?
No, sure, I can hit the ground. I was thinking, look, like when you mentioned live performances, my mind immediately, of course, went to Iron Maiden because, like I mentioned earlier, I was such a huge fan of Iron Maiden in the early 2000s, and I think I've seen that band. Look, I've not been to a millions of shows. There was a period in that period I went to a lot of shows, but like lately, I'm happy if I see one, two shows a year. But then I think I've seen Maiden maybe 8 times or something
Oh
like
wow,
that.
yeah,
So
brilliant.
yeah, so I was really down with Maiden. I had every single record. Every time they came, I went to see them, and I also, if they played twice, I saw them twice. I even went. There was a funny story. They played in Helsinki as well, so in Finland, and me, of course, living in Sweden at the time. I then took the boat to Finland to go see them with a couple of mates of mine, and we had booked a hotel. What number is our hotel door? 666. Like uh, but coincidence, but or is it? But anyway, then
And you never saw your friends again.
yeah, exactly. Well, and then it was also that was the case. We partied so hard on that boat that I remember we were all hung over at the concert. It was not the best experience, but anyway.
How did you find
But
them
the
live?
well, that's the thing, right? That the first time I saw them, like I discovered them when they had released Brave New World, so their big comeback album in 2000. They might have even they already had toured Brave New World. They might even had released Rock in Rio. Maybe not, maybe, but that was around the time. And yeah, I thought I've heard everything. And I was super psyched to go see them. They played the Stockholm Stadium, we call it in Swedish, but Stockholm Stadium. Um, and it holds like 13, 14,000 people. So it's a big venue. And of course, queuing. You know, the build-up was ideal. It was peak of summer, um, and and it was like my first concert of this size, and it was in 2003, I believe, or 2002, 2003 it was, and it was awesome. It was awesome. The sound was great. Also, the Swedish state radio recorded it, and I had it on bootleg. It was not only in my head; it really sounded great. Everyone was on top of the game, and what was the coolest thing was they played Revelation from Peace of Mind, and or Revelations, and for some reason I had missed this song, and so that song is now super special to me just because I was so blown away. I thought they had made a new song. It wasn't a new song, but yeah, and so that is like a favorite song of mine because of, well, because of that experience, then because of this excellent, super cool concert that they made. So that is like one of my, that is like peak, like core memory for me. This show, and yeah. So yes, Iron Maiden, Stockholm Stadium in 2003, and I believe if you are interested, you can find this show on YouTube, audio only, but it's very good audio. So yeah, a big recommend. That was a
cool.
big core memory for me.
That's awesome. I saw them play last year,
Yeah.
first time ever. I'd never seen them before. They played in the Kudos Bank Arena for us. I think I'm getting the feeling that it's maybe about that size. I could look it up as well. But they did, so I'd never seen them before. I'm not a huge Maiden fan, or wasn't. But the thing about it that really amazed me was just how many tracks I did know and how cool they were. And these guys are consummate professionals. Like, they've got to be like 60, 70 years of age, and they're running around the stage and they're playing like they go off, and the vocal quality was fantastic. I saw the year before, I saw Guns N' Roses when they came out, got tickets to, like, really good tickets to see them, and it was actually an awesome show, but Axel's voice ain't so good. Not anymore. Like, Axel can't sing. And so the difference between these two bands was just mind blowing, right? In that I expected, because of the Gunners kind of experience, I just didn't expect to be like wowed by, anything. But these guys did. They left me with my jaw down, going like, holy crap. And it was the last tour of the drummer as well. Like, I think it was the very last sort of tour, and I don't know, he looked like 100 years old, but was still able to keep up. Like, it was crazy.
He's the oldest one of the band. I mean, I think the rest are born around 58, something like that, and he's like 5 years older, I believe.
Right.
And yeah, and he had a stroke before this
Yeah.
tour, right? So he was
Yeah.
having trouble keeping up. But yeah, no, I mean, Bruce is really holding up live, and that's the biggest challenge, I'd say, because I mean, it's not very difficult music to play, but
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. Like, and especially, I just thought to myself, like, these guys did such a good job. Like, anyway, go check them out. They are touring around still, which is cool to me. Before they've sort of finish for I don't know how much longer they'll be touring for, but if you get a chance to see them, definitely check them out. Right. I'm just.
what's yours?
What was
What's
that?
your first pick?
My first pick. So I was going to start with probably the first, what I believe is the first proper gig that I went to. I saw Karnivool live. A mate of mine he actually helped the band a little bit. So we kind of got free tickets, which was kind of cool. Got let into the door. I think it was at the Annandale in the middle of Sydney. And so, yeah, I saw Karnivool play. I think it was just on the release of Themata, so the very first sort of release of them. It was a bit of a mind-blowing experience for me, who was not a gig goer, and that sort of etched into my brain really strongly. I had listened to the band. I did know the music as well, which was pretty cool. But I was blown away by sort of Kenny's vocals and just the atmospheric sort of presence of their sort of guitar work and the drums and stuff. They were just so heavy, I remember at the time, and just thinking to myself, like, wow, this is awesome. And so, the floor was tacky and sticky, and, it was one of those like places that I walked into going like, what is this? And, but yeah, it was one of my first like gigs when I was a bit younger. And I've seen Karnivool play lots and lots and lots now. I think I'm about 9 times maybe. And I'm actually going to see them very soon. So yeah, 9 times. So I think this would probably be my 10th one when they come. They've just released a tour, and I just got tickets to see them. So that'll be good. I think chances are they're about to release a new album too. So I'm hoping to hear some new stuff. Because it looks like they might be in production at the moment. It's been a long time since their last release, so that should be really cool. If you guys enjoy your sort of progressive metal stuff, you like, a little bit of a, I don't know, how would you describe Karnivool, Simon?
I mean, it's very progressive, and it's absolutely metal. I think, yeah, I think you need to appreciate both. to,
Yeah,
to yeah, and but maybe if you're not, if you don't, then maybe they could be typically a band that wins you over to one of those two sides. I
yeah, they're
think
not
they're
super heavy. The vocals are light and clean, with the exception of like maybe 2 songs in their discography. If you do their EP, I think there's a little bit of screaming, but that's it. Have you seen them live at all? No.
no, 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 no. I'm quite a newbie when it comes to Carnival. So
Yeah,
so
cool. Yeah, the
what is
early.
what is that name, by the way? Is there some Australian way to pronounce carnival, or
No, I just think it's cool to, misspell words.
uh,
Like bands like Clone with a K and, all
yeah,
of that sort of
yeah,
stuff. It's anything, any band that starts with K, like its name starts with K, generally speaking, change their name in one way, shape, or another, don't
right,
they?
yeah. You also had this is sidetrack.
Yeah,
Um, because absolutely that is a trend among bands, right? That you misspell the name, and I guess it's also today maybe it's easier to search things if you misspell them, right? Because especially if your band name is like Heat or something like that, yeah, then how are you you're gonna edit so much if you just put it in Google, but you also of course have this trend with the 70s and 80s at least. You had Motorhead. You put the 2 dots on there, so it's a Swedish letter, right?
yeah.
Or Scandinavian. Well, actually Swedish, but or you have Motley Crue. They also did that, which is funny, right? Because then in Sweden we actually use that letter, so we pronounce it different. We say Motorhead, Motorhead, or Mötley Crüe, because of that. Of course, the Motley Crue, they also put the umlaut on, right? The 2 dots on the U. So it's Krie, it would be in Germany at least, right? And then, but then there's also a heavy metal band called Trojan. I guess it's Trojan, like something from Troy, uh, but they did it with a J, Trojan, and then they
Trojan.
also put the dots on the O, so then it would be Tröjan, which is the shirt in Swedish. Well, so it doesn't always end up
The way
the
you
cool way.
intended it. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. The I was going to say that we have there's quite a few bands that I sort of joke around with a few friends of mine because of their spelling, but I think it's Carnival as far as I'm concerned. We're just trying to be cool, and so the all is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
from like Carnicool or something. I got no idea. I should look it up. That's something I should know actually, being a big fan that I am.
Yeah, we've seen it done 9 times. Holy cow! Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they do tour and have toured Australia a fair bit, and remember they have been around for 20 years.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, sure,
like
sure.
they've been
Yeah,
around for, well, what, if I saw them in about 2005, 2007, somewhere in between those years. Um, yeah, so that means it's a good 18 years worth of touring. So, if I saw them every 2 years, that'd be bang on. And
yeah,
it feels
yeah.
like about that as well, really. Like I probably saw them three times when I was a bit younger, and then they toured a little bit maybe before COVID, I think it was. And then, anyway, doesn't matter. I'd have to have a look.
Oh,
I'd have to have a look. Who's your next band? Let's move on, shall we?
well, my next band is not a band, it's a guitarist
Hmm.
that I discovered on. I think he had a track that went viral or a video that went viral with his finger picking technique. Alexander Misko. I believe he had, that was maybe 10 years ago that he went kind of viral with a video maybe it was even longer ago, a video of him playing Careless Whisper, but he was doing it with the tune knobs on the guitar while also doing like tapping stuff, and quite impressive. But and that it was of course why it went viral, because it was very impressive playing. But then he also so I kept following him, and he did a lot of pleasant finger style playing stuff. And he's from Russia, but apparently he moved to Germany, and um, and so he was playing. Uh, did like a tour. This was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. He did a tour in Germany, and then he had one show in the Netherlands. So we call it the Germany plus the Netherlands tour, but he only had one show in the Netherlands. And of course, I have moved to the Netherlands. I live in a small town in the Netherlands. And what are the freaking odds? That's the town he plays. And it was this super small place here. It's a guitar shop, and which has a stage, and I believe it was like 20 people in that came to see this show. So it's super intimate, and uh, yeah, super cool guy. He pulls everything off that he, you know, has on his Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and yeah, and so we had a chat afterwards, and super cool guy, super cool show. I would say if you have the chance to go see him, I believe he now played in America, like Canada or USA, um, and yeah, I mean it was perfect for that small intimate setting. So yeah, totally go check him out. That was a really cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds very cool, actually. I'll need to look it up. I probably have seen that clip that you said went viral. I just like because something's in my memory going like it's being triggered, but I can't think of it at the moment, so I'll look it up afterwards as well. The second band I was going to bring up is a band called Mono. Mono are a Japanese post metal band. A friend of mine was a big fan. He said they're great. He told me some trivia. I don't know how true it is. I don't even know if I've remembered correctly, so forgive me if I got it wrong. But I think they're one of Japan's most experienced touring bands of all time. I think they've toured more than like any other known band, or at least that's what I was told. So I'm going to look that up later. Maybe it's worth checking it out. But these guys
Crazy because
are
it's kind of post rock. It's very niche.
yeah.
Yeah.
So but the thing is that Mono have been around since 19. So they toured they've released 11 studio albums now. This band spent the early years. Also, they were formed in 1999 in Tokyo. And if I remember correctly, the reason that they just don't stop touring. At least that's what I've been told, is they just tour and tour and tour and tour and tour. Um, and look, these guys are pros. They are pros. So my friend said they were going to be really good, but when I walked in, I just did not expect what I was about to walk into. This is the band that has actually made me physically ill from listening to them, and I don't mean in a bad way. I mean in a way that just meant that the music just became too much for me. I remember standing in the middle of a small crowd, like it was a relatively small venue, and just being immersed in this like huge like sound and these crescendos that they build and the intensity of it, and the emotional roller coaster that goes on. Like their music is beautiful, and then it just gets like bigger, and so you just get caught up in it. And the um, like the band members, they're just like hypnotic. You know, the two guy guitarists, they sort of sit there, you know, hair over their, you know, faces, sitting on chairs, just playing, looking down at the ground. And they're so immersed in their own music and their own sound that it's just, they're playing their stuff. And you kind of feel a little bit like you're invading on their like personal time nearly, you know? And
Yeah.
you've got
Well,
the
I
bass player.
always wondered, like with these, like I, to be honest, I've been listening to post rock, not really actively, but you know, I discovered Godspeed You Black Emperor in like 98 or something like that. So like you know, I've been aware of this music for a long time, but I never like really uh, considered seeing something like that live, and I'm really curious to like what that experience is like. So I'm very intrigued by this.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen a few like post metal bands. Usually they're like Australian or New Zealand acts or something who are like touring with Mono specifically. That when I've seen them, but these guys are, man, like I believe that they're a different post. Like they're a different type of post, like sort of rock sound, and they are. I really do
yeah.
believe like the best of the best of the best in the genre. Like I'm yet to see anything even close to. As, with all due respect to you guys out there, like it's not saying that you're bad, but these guys are just that next level, and it's just such a heart wrenching, emotional, beautiful, and intense experience. They really do. Anyway, check them out. If you're interested, I've actually got a playlist on Spotify, which I'm happy to share. I might even chuck that up in my Instagram feed or something at some stage too, because I know they're a bit obscure. They might not be that well known, especially in the Western world, but
I
they're
wonder
epic.
how much. I wonder how much uh, it plays in with Japanese bands that, well, Jap- Japanese people or the Japan has such a crazy um, work ethic. Because like if they tour nonstop and they never stop touring, then I'm also thinking like, okay, is this a little bit like the Japanese mindset, you know, of everybody has to be a workaholic.
Yeah,
Um,
but also like, you know, and I get that there's many nations out there that work hard, and there's many nations out there that have had this, but the Japanese are known for their attention to detail in pretty much everything that they do. Their complete and utter like devotion to something, their master craftsmanship, their, you know, that obsessive kind of you know, fine
yeah,
detail kind of
yeah,
focus,
yeah.
and it just shows in this band's music and live. Oh, but anyway, check it out. Check it out. I literally had to walk out of the room to the edge of the room at one stage the first time I'd heard them. Since then, I've been back, seen them. I think I've seen them 3 or 4 times now, and each time I've just been blown away. And you know, I don't quite feel as ill anymore. Everyone, just don't worry. It's not like it's gonna make you sick every time. But I don't know. There's just something about the intensity of it that just really got to me emotionally, and you know, I've responded. So I think they're worth checking out, and they're definitely on this list because of just how special that was, especially the first time. All right, let's go. Your third, shall we?
All right. So my third has to be my, yeah. I was doubting a little bit here because I thought I would do something from a more recent gig. And then I was doubting, would I do the Dream Theater one or would I do the Fish one? And in the end, I had to go with Fish. I mean, I think Dream Theater are also amazing live. Um, it's just, but they also have downsides. I mean, of course, James' voice is not what it was. Everybody knows that. Uh, it's like um, the instrumentalists, like you get blown away by their skill, the pure professional skill, like they live and breathe their guitars and basses and keyboards. But their stage presence, at least if you're a little bit from a distance, yeah, sure, they play their stuff, and it sounds great, but it's mostly about the audio. Uh, of course, Mike Portnoy is the life of the show, if you ask me, when you see Dream Theater live, and so I'm very happy that he's back. Anyway, I kind of my mind really opened up on Marillion lately, and I was really blown away by their first albums with Fish. So I just had to see, when I saw that he was making a farewell tour last year, I just had to go see him. And then I've seen these old live performances with Marillion when he was still in Marillion, and I thought, wow, what a stage presence! And what it's it's a little bit like Bruce Dickinson in Iron Maiden, that he's just running around and being very energetic and
active. Yeah, it needs to be very fit to be able to just pull off the act.
exactly. And I mean, Bruce is like this. He's a fucking athlete, right? So for, I don't know, you've seen them. I have not seen Maiden live in like 17 years or something, but
he's still doing it. He's up on
right,
everything.
exactly. I would not expect anything else.
One moment he's there, at the other time
Exactly.
he's dancing
And I
around
mean,
under the
you
legs
see,
of...
he's a lean, mean machine, so I'm not surprised,
Yeah.
But Fish, that's a different thing. Oh, first of all, he's like, is a real tall dude who has not really taken care of himself that great as Bruce Dickinson. So it's like, oh man, I think I've seen him with a stick, So I'm thinking like, okay, how is this going to be? And the thing is also, Bruce is of course a very on key singer. He doesn't really make a lot of mistakes with singing, whereas Fish is more like, he's more of an storyteller than a singer, perhaps. But he also, well, of course, he does it through song, by singing. So I was like, yeah, okay, maybe this is, and I had like someone talking to me saying that, yeah, he saw them live, we saw him live 20 years ago when it was not all that great. So I was like, okay, well, 20 years further on, how is that going to sound, And he played a venue in Groningen in the north of the Netherlands, of like what is it, like a couple of thousand people, 3,000-4,000 maybe, so not huge, and it blew me away. God damn. And given he was not always on key, he was absolutely, I mean, he was sometimes flat with Marillion, absolutely sometimes flat now. But how they sometimes also solve that is that they take in a co-singer, in this case a female co-singer, so it gets a bit more of that dynamic. You will still have this the whole range, so to speak. And his female co-singer there did a terrific job. But the thing, and the musicians, they professional, pure professionals that really, they jam, and they, it's just, you just get blown away by, well, how good they are, and that you have it's some semi-known names in the progressive community that makes up for his band there, or that makes out his band. And but the thing with Fish is, I never seen such a charismatic dude ever. Like, I've seen some charismatic dudes. This guy could be a sect leader if he wanted to. Yeah,
he has a bit of a cult following, right? Not in those
I mean,
but his fans, boy oh boy, do they love him.
Yeah, and for good reason. I mean, if he speaks, you listen, and yeah, I don't know what to say. It was almost religious. And but the thing is, he's a good guy with a heart on a good spot, you know. So and very what do you call it? Like um, uh, that he's true to the art, so to speak. He's not going to play only old hits. He's going to, you know, he then does like a 50-minute epic from a CD that released 10 years ago that maybe not all people don't, well, most people don't know. But doesn't matter. Everything he plays is great. And yeah, so that was I was very surprised, like positively surprised about how great that was. Unfortunately, I have to say he had his last show just like a couple of months ago. So uh, and and this is apparently, you know, he now totally emptied the magazine and with merch and everything. So you know he's not going to make a comeback after this. It seems it's now he just lives on his little farm somewhere and grows his vegetables.
Yeah, good on him.
that's
Good on him.
that's
He's
his
just
life
worked that
now. Yeah,
hard. That's great.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I've got for my third one, I was really struggling with who to pick. Because like probably one of the best shows I've ever seen is Leprous live, but we spoke about them last week, right? So maybe go check out the Leprous episode if you guys want to hear about that. But I thought I'd pick up a band that maybe some people haven't really heard of before, or at least people outside of Australia. And even if you're inside Australia, you'd have to be kind of my age. But there was a band called Epicure who I think they finished up in about 2010. So they were around for about a decade, and they won like a Triple J, which is a radio show. They won like a competition with one of like their songs or something. It was like some talent thing, but so they ended up getting a fair bit of sort of playtime. And they released an album called what was the album called? I remember all the songs' names, but the title of the album was The Goodbye Girl. That's their more popular sort of album. And I remember hearing that and thinking, oh, that's a really sensational. Look, it's soft, it's sort of progressive light kind of music. Um, but I saw them play, it must have been in about 2005 because it was just after they released their album Main Street, because I remember that was in the set list and they were playing those things. So it might have been just before, around the time of them releasing it. And it was just one of the most intimate, beautiful gigs. It was great. Like I can't remember where it was in Sydney that we watched it, but I went with a mate of mine. If I remember, his mum came with us as well. She loved this band. Thought they were really cool. So that was a bit unique. But I remember it, and they ended up playing for like what felt like about an hour and a half overtime. So we're in this like intimate little room, and the entire club is like packed up basically, and all the staff are around the back, and the bar's closed, and basically it just turned into like an encore where everyone ended up sitting down on the ground. And so they ended up sitting down and sort of it just had this like really amazing vibe. And he has one of the main singer, I think his name's Juan. What's his last name? I'm probably butchering his name as well. Um, Juan Albin is the vocalist and guitarist. He's also one of the sort of main sort of composers of the music. And look, it's really quite sort of beautiful. He's just a really heartfelt sort of thing. They had a lady in for backup vocals who blew me away as well for the Main Street songs. So like it was just a really fantastic, intimate little like gig, and I don't know, and I think it's the longest one I've been to. I feel like in my recollection was it's a good like 2 hour, maybe 2.5 hour set. Like it was pretty cool. Look, it might not have been. I don't even know if they had that much material to tell you the truth, but it just really sort of hit me in the feels at the time, and I left kind of blown away and just feeling like I was a part of something really special. So I wanted to give that a special mention because that was just one of the best gigs I've been to for sure. Um, yeah, and I've seen a few good bands that I've got down on my list here as well, but that's got to be
Yeah.
up there. It's got to be up there. If
I
you
gotta
want,
give maybe an honorable mention as well to
Yeah.
when I saw Symphony X opening for Dream Theater. So that was a good combo, right? And Russell Allen live, chef's kiss. I think, yeah. Which I hear they are working on something new. Oh, and by the way, before I forget it,
Yeah.
I promised I got some reaction to our last video, the Leprous discography,
Oh yeah.
where someone said made arguments for why I should reconsider with Melina. I listened to it again with that in consideration. It's still my number 7.
So if the person's
Sorry.
watching and they're going to comment, then that's funny. Because it was my 7 as well, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right. I have to find out what that recommendation was and try and find out too. But
Yeah.
I've also look. I saw Dead Letter Circus when they first were like touring really, really early on as well. And I remember being
Yeah.
at a gig in Newcastle, and there was like 3 people there. So I'm in like this old pub, and Kim's like, shaking hands with us because we're one of 5 people that are there.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember watching that and being absolutely blown away by what he could do with his voice. So I've seen Dead Letter Circus play a lot too, and they were pretty special, like really, really special live too. But
Cool.
we could probably list all sorts of bands, couldn't we? That we've seen and
Yeah, sure.
listened to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think Karnivool, Mono, and Epicure were my 3, and your ones were Iron Maiden, the what was his name?
Alexander Misko.
There you go. I can't pronounce that. And we've got kind of Fish, right? We'll go with Fish. But
With
yeah,
a
thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you so much, Simon, for your time today as well. That was fun. We should probably look. We're going to have to do a deep dive on a few other bands that I've got listed down here. It's going to be really awesome.
We can
I really,
absolutely make a part 2 about this. I think there are enough shows in
yeah,
my
yeah,
head.
and we
Yeah.
should probably talk about biggest disasters we've been to as well. Where you rock up to something and just go,
That's a good one.
whoa, whoa. I've seen some supporting acts, like that just are they're as
Yeah,
memorable as
yeah,
the main
yeah.
acts, where you just go,
Right.
wow, wow. So we'll have to talk about that another time as well. I'm writing a few notes down as we're talking, just going, like,
Yeah,
oh, I
that's
just
intriguing.
remembered this
Yeah, yeah.
people. So we'll have to check that out too. But look, anyway, you guys who are watching from home or wherever you're watching from, we'd love to hear your perspective as well. We'd love to hear what bands you guys have seen live, and who you would rate really highly too. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. Remember to like and subscribe if you can. And until we see you again next week, peace out. Have a great day, and have a good weekend. Bye, everybody. See ya.
See ya.